Hi, my name is Casper Rene Johansen, and I'm your YouTube philosopher. I thought I might be doing one of my New Year philosophical speeches. It's been a few years since I filmed one of these New Year philosophical speeches, and I thought I'd be doing it different this time, testing a new device to film it while I was going for a walk. Look at this magnificent view. And it's also good to walk and philosophize. A lot of the great philosophers of the past was doing exactly that, to move their thoughts. They took walks. Leibniz took walks. Kant, Heidegger, Søren Kierkegaard, Nietzsche. A lot of philosophers took these walks to move their thoughts, because you move your thoughts when you move forward. Instead of sitting still, you move your thoughts. That's also the whole idea. Like Søren Kierkegaard, he says, life is lived forward, but it's understood backwards. So it's good to take these philosophical walks to clear your mind. And yeah, it started raining. I hope my camera can handle this a little bit of rain. It wasn't raining before, but it's raining now. So I hope it can handle rain, my camera here. But anyways, we're going into 2021, which hopefully will be the whole different year than 2020. And when I make this video, I cannot help to talk about what probably a lot of us really don't want to talk about anymore: Corona and the Corona pandemic. But the Corona pandemic should be over in 2021, sometimes during 2021. That's what they tell us. And with the vaccines coming out and being administered right now to many people, and more get vaccinated, it should be over, they say. So hopefully that's good, that 2021, a lot of 2021 would be out of this pandemic. But will we go back to our normal lives, kind of business as usual? I don't really think so, because we changed. It's like Heraclitus said, you cannot step twice into the same river. Why? Because you're not the same as the one who stepped into the river earlier. You changed, and you're now viewing things differently. So the whole thing about it coming out of this pandemic will be a changed culture, because we have been through a pandemic, so that will reflect on how we will act on this when the pandemic's over. So that will be interesting. Søren Kierkegaard, he also pondered about this repetition, what he called gentagelsen. Does it really exist? Can you do a repetition? Can you do something you already done exactly the same way? And that's the same thing with this going into 2021, when the pandemic should be over. We will just repeat what we just lived before the pandemic. According to Søren Kierkegaard, you cannot. It's impossible to repeat and do the same thing. And that's also the philosophy of process philosophy, that things has changed now and are something else. So you cannot repeat what we have already done in exactly the same way. This is a new reality coming in after the pandemic. It would also always be mankind after the coronavirus. So that's also Kierkegaard's view on this going back to a business as usual. Fear, frustration, and isolation because of lockdowns and restrictions on our personal lives and so forth. So for many people it's been a horrible year, and it looks like with the coming of the new year that we are on our first steps towards coming out of the pandemic, hopefully. But as I said, we are now changed in some way and are not the same as the ones before the pandemic because of the pandemic. So it will be an interesting future to see which sort of culture comes out of this, because I think our future cultures, even in theater and in movies, literatures, poems and music, will reflect the pandemic and our journey through this pandemic, I think. So a lot of things will change after the pandemic. The interesting about the movement of history, we never kind of move where we're going. Okay, the history is moving forward also, right? It's always moving forward, right? Or is it? Or is history sometimes moving backwards? Or is history more cyclical? Are we kind of moving always somewhere, but also getting back to the same problems or variations of the same problems all over again? Is everything cyclical? Or are we walking backwards? Are we deteriorating? Is history deteriorating mankind? Or is it always progress, always moving forward, getting better and better? I don't think it's either deteriorating or always progressing forward. I think it could be cyclical, that we progress and something changes and something good happens and we progress, but some of the same problems or variations of the same problems keeps continuing. Perhaps until they're solved, or perhaps they never solve. But I think there's a cyclical way to history, that we go forward a bit, but we also go backwards a bit. So it's cyclical. So will we learn from this pandemic in 2020, or will we not? That's the interesting question for the future. Have we learned anything that propels us progressively forward, or was this just a setback and will we continue to coming back to the problems or variations of those problems that was in this pandemic with the next pandemic? Because there will be another pandemic at some point, 10 years from now, 20, 100 years, we don't know. We want to go back to a business as usual. Is it even really, does it really have that big a value to go back as business as usual? Did we really like it before? Or is this the time to make more and better changes to our societies and our so-called democracies and the way we do our business? So that's also an interesting thing here to think. Do we really want to go back exactly as it was before the pandemic? That's the interesting thing also here. What will 2020 be like? Is this just the year of Corona? Is that it? Is that the only way we're gonna be talking about? That it was the year of the Corona, and that's all that it was. It's difficult to see what else had happened in the Corona, but and everything reflects Corona. Would President Trump, would he have lost the election if it wasn't for Corona? I think not. I think Corona and the whole pandemic and the way he tackled it and his administration, that lost him the election. He might have won, probably, if it weren't for Corona. So that's also the interesting thing. It affected all in 2020. So it's difficult for me to talk without talking about this corona, because it's also affected my personal life and my thinking and my philosophizing, because there's a lot of thematic problems that came with this pandemic that I as a philosopher couldn't help thinking about and have not stopped thinking about. And I think that would continue, that line of thinking, or the problems I'm thinking about philosophically, they're also, I'm coming into 2021 also with this. So I might just end it with a question for you guys who watch the video out there. It's always good when philosophizing to also end with a question, so you can keep philosophizing at another time. But ask yourself what you think have changed within you, within your thoughts or your opinions. What have changed for you during 2020, especially with the corona pandemic? How have it affected and changed something in you? That's something you hopefully can ponder about coming into 2021. So I hopefully see you in my future videos in 2021. Happy New Year!